Today's news highlights 20250902. Date September 2, 2025. Republic of China September 2, 114. Time cutoff point, 1500 hours on the same day. News highlights since September, a number of new systems have been launched, covering transportation, medical care, long-term care, employment and public health. High-speed rail has added quiet carriages and strengthened flow management. The Boy seat on public transport has been renamed Priority Seat, and the icon has added feeling unwell. In terms of medical care, cancer patients can apply for egg freezing subsidies, and health insurance expands blood lipid drug benefits. Long-term care 3.0 relaxes the use of services for foreign caregivers and increases the amount of subsidies. Public health has expanded the HPV vaccine to junior high school boys at public expense. The youth job search allowance has been increased to $6,000 per month, with a maximum of $4.80. In addition, Canada's transit passengers are exempt from security checks, and Japan's accommodation tax standards are adjusted, which has a wide impact. News highlights the number of sales and transfers in the 6 capitals in August was 16,663, a monthly decrease of 11.6% and a year-on-year decrease of 32.1%, showing an overall cooling. Taipei City has only 1,704 buildings, the lowest since 2003 statistics in August. The rest of New Taipei, Dawan, Tainan, and Kaohsiung all decreased by 7% to 20% month-on-month and more than 30% year-on-year. Only Taichung City increased by 2.3% month-on-month, supported by the tide of housing handovers along the coastal line and in urban areas, with a relatively light year-on-year decrease of 25.1%. Experts pointed out that the central bank's credit control and loans are not easy, which has shrunk the housing market, and the demand for investment and owner-occupied has become conservative. News highlights CUNY Taiwan Select High Yield ETF, 00919, announced a dividend of 0.54 yuan per unit for the third quarter, a decrease from the previous 2 quarters, but the single quarter yield still reached 2.55%, and the annualized yield was about 10.2%, maintaining the guarantee 10 level. The ex-dividend date is September 16th, and dividends will be paid on October 15th. Although the dividend has declined, many investors said that they are dissatisfied but acceptable and look forward to accelerating the filling of interest. Some netizens questioned that compared with similar ETFs, 00919 was deliberately allocated higher, and market opinions were divided. News highlights Economic Minister Gong Mingzhen held a discussion with industry associations as soon as he took office, and business groups were worried about the impact of tariffs and called for prudence in raising the minimum wage next year. Gong Mingzhen said that although the economic growth in the first half of the year was impressive, the tariffs had a great impact on small, medium, and micro enterprises, and he would reflect to the political yuan and the Ministry of Labor, believing that the past formula is no longer so appropriate. As for the 2026 carbon fee, the industry hopes to postpone it, and he promised to communicate with the Ministry of Environment to balance short-term pressures with long-term net zero goals. It is estimated that according to the current formula, the basic wage may rise by more than 4% next year, but the Ministry of Economic Affairs has stated that it does not support the high adjustment. The electricity price is to be decided by the review committee, and it is expected to freeze in October. News highlights according to statistics from the Land Administration Office, the average price per square meter of the hot-selling pre-sale project Waldorf Astoria in the second quarter of this year was 54.7 yuan, and the average price of Maisheng Sen Hill also reached 42.2 yuan. In addition, the average price of Jinji Everywhere was 44 yuan, Enjoy Fenghua was 42 yuan, and Yangfu was 41 yuan. Experts pointed out that buildings in Qi urban areas generally fall on the 4 to 5 prefix, and at least 3 prefixes on the periphery. With the soaring unit price and the prevalence of small houses, Xinggui launched small suites of only 8 to 10 pings, with a price of 55 yuan per ping. The price of the Tianxian in the case of the sky is more than 4,600 yuan, which makes many Qi people call it a heavy burden. News highlights Jitai Construction sold the Jitai Zhongxiao building for 125 billion yuan in 2023, the largest commercial real estate transaction of the year, but the buyer Li Qingjin, nicknamed Bentley Brother, did not pay the third phase price 2 years later. Jitai announced that it would confiscate 6.25 billion yuan paid as agreed, setting the highest liquidated damages in the history of the listed counter. Li Qingjin once made a sensation by giving away more than 16 Bentleys, accumulating tens of billions of dollars in land transactions in Hsinchu and Dawan, but now it is rumored that the chain of funds is broken, people are empty, and the market is in an uproar. This case highlights the risks of large-scale real estate transactions and raises questions about the financial situation of Bentley Brother. News highlights TSMC founder Zhang Zongmu, 94 years old, is worth $51 billion and is known as a semiconductor legend. He returned to Taiwan at the age of 55 to found TSMC, leading the company to become a partner of technology giants such as Apple and Nvidia. Zhang Zongmu once shared a number of leadership methods. When working at Texas Instruments, he pursued remarkable achievements in every position before he was promoted. Entrepreneurship chooses to follow interests rather than money, but let wealth come naturally, emphasizing learning by doing and emphasizing centralized production to accumulate experience curves. When laying off employees, they oppose the use of performance theory to retain employees, believing that training new talents is more costly. In the face of customer needs, even if it is unreasonable, we must respond patiently. They know how to leave decisively when they lose their enthusiasm and prospects. These ideas became important cornerstones of his success. News highlights on September 1. U.S. President Trump once again criticized India's perennial high tariffs through his platform Truth Social, pointing out the imbalance in US-India trade relations, saying that the United States has long been India's largest customer, but it is difficult to sell goods to the Indian market. He criticized India for imposing the world's highest tariffs, preventing U.S. companies from expanding, and emphasized that bilateral relations are completely unilateral and last for decades. Trump also named India's oil and armaments mostly imported from Russia and very little from the United States. Regarding India's recent proposal to cut taxes to zero, he bluntly said that it was too late and believed that it should have been implemented many years ago. News highlights: Bloomberg reported that OpenAI plans to set up a large-scale data center in India and expand the Stargate AI infrastructure to Asia, with an expected scale of at least 1 million units, GW. Honhai is expected to benefit from its local server production capacity, and suppliers such as Quanta and Inventec will also benefit. Honhai chairman Liu Yanggui pointed out that the company has advantages in the vertical integration of AI hardware, and global layout and multi-country cooperation are already underway. OpenAI CEO Altman may visit India this month to announce plans to set up a new center in India to support customized AI services and prevent data leakage, and participate in the Indian government's $120 billion India AI mission, while setting up an office in New Delhi to expand the local team and accelerate the expansion of India, the world's second-largest user market. News highlights: the latest research from China's Southern Medical University shows that drinking coffee in moderation every day, whether sweetened or unsweetened, can reduce the risk of death. The study followed more than 17 participants for 7 years and found that drinking 2.5–3.5 cups of sugar-free coffee a day reduced the risk of death by 29%, and the risk of death from cancer and cardiovascular disease decreased by 31% and 34% respectively. Drinking 1.5–3.5 cups of sweetened coffee also reduced the risk of death by 28–31%, and the risk of death from cancer and cardiovascular disease decreased by 29–38% and 23–25% respectively. It is worth noting that adding more than 4.5 cups of sugar per day increases the risk of death by 5%, and the effect of sugar substitute coffee is unknown. It is recommended to limit the amount of sugar to about 1 teaspoon per day, whether it is instant, ground, or low-caffeine coffee. News highlights: Zhongyuan Pudu Bibai should choose auspicious and good varieties when choosing fruits, apples to keep you safe, kiwi homonyms auspicious fruit, and dragon fruit and longan to symbolize dragon energy, long red performance. Fruits that are homonymous for invite you should be avoided, such as plums, pears, and pineapples. Nutritionists suggest that apples can adjust gastrointestinal peristalsis, kiwi helps digestion, dragon fruit moistens the intestines, longan is high in sugar and calories, and people with diabetes or poor kidney function should pay attention. In terms of snacks, you can prepare red turtle cake, longevity and auspiciousness, rice crackers, prosperous wealth, and canned peanuts. Good things happen, but pay attention to aflatoxin, sugar, and choking risks. It is recommended to worship from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., and the table should be closed before 5 p.m. First worship the gods and ancestors, and then go to the outdoor purdu, avoiding worship indoors or on the back balcony. News highlights: experts recommend that when brushing your teeth, you don't need to dip the toothbrush in water first, but directly squeeze the toothpaste to dry brush, which can fully contact the teeth, improve the cleaning effect and strengthen the anti-cavity effect. Toothpaste will be diluted when it gets wet, and too much foam can easily make people mistakenly think that brushing time is enough, and the fluoride effect will be weakened. When brushing your teeth, you should rub your teeth moderately to remove plaque, rinse with a small amount of water for about 10 seconds after brushing, and avoid eating and drinking for 30 minutes to allow fluoride to fully work. It is recommended to brush the tongue coating once in the morning and evening, floss between the teeth after meals, and then wait 15–20 minutes to brush the teeth to avoid tooth softening and decalcification. News highlights: on the evening of August 29, a huge anti-communist slogan projection appeared in Chongqing University town, and the activist Chi Hong is currently in the UK. He taught himself projection technology, projecting slogans such as "Down with the Red Fascists" and "Overthrow the Tyranny of the Communist Party," which lasted for about 50 minutes and quickly spread on the internet. Chi Hong was detained for being mistaken for Falun Gong, and the letter called for treating the people well and preserving their conscience. The incident has attracted attention at home and abroad, and is seen as a symbolic protest by ordinary citizens against the CCP's totalitarianism, and also reflects the political awakening of Chinese young people and the increasingly acute social contradictions. News highlights: European Commission President von der Leyen's special plane encountered serious GPS interference on its way to Bulgaria on September 1, and the pilot finally relied on ground navigation and paper maps to land safely. Bulgaria is suspected of being related to Russia, but Russia denies it. The incident highlights Russia's long-term use of GPS jamming and deception to affect military and civil aviation security, especially in Europe. The eastern flank is seriously affected. Experts believe that this move may test NATO's response and also shows that Europe needs to accelerate defense investment and continue to support Ukraine in resisting Russian aggression. News highlights: since its release in Taiwan on August 8, 2025, the first chapter of the animated film Demon Slayer the movie, Infinite City Arc, has surpassed its predecessor Infinite Train with a box office of $639 million in just 23 days, becoming the box office champion in Taiwanese animation and Japanese film history, 3 times faster than its predecessor. The popularity of characters such as Insect Pillar Hudai Shinobu is high, and it also once again demonstrates the global influence of Demon Slayer since the serialization of the comic in 2016, and the follow-up box office performance is still highly anticipated. News highlights: Taipei's East District, once synonymous with Taiwanese fashion, has declined after high rents and crowds, and is now gradually recovering from the end of 2024 to 2025. Korean selection stores attract Generation Z, Michelin-starred restaurants add gastronomic charm, and the opening of the arena has also driven a return of crowds, and store rents have returned to the 10,000 yuan club. However, compared with the peak period, rents have not fully recovered, and although the popularity of the business district has rebounded, it remains to be seen whether it can regain its former glory. News highlights: in order to strengthen fraud prevention, many banks have recently adjusted the rules for debit card and online banking transactions. Mega, Hiku, CITIC, Taishin and other banks have reduced the ATM withdrawal limit of digital depositors. Starting from September 3, the application for transfer to another bank's account must take effect on the 2nd of the following day after approval. Treasury Bank adjusted the transfer limit of online banking and alerted account control measures, and can suspend or terminate transactions for accounts with no transactions or abnormal salary transfers. In addition, starting from late September, Bank of China and Bank of Turkey will add a function to display some of the account names for transfers to avoid transfer errors. News highlights: on September 3, 2025, Beijing will hold the 93 military parade to commemorate the 80th anniversary of China's victory in the anti-Japanese war and showcase the achievements of the People's Liberation Army's military reforms over the past decade. Highlights of the military parade include the strategic transformation from land to sea, the Eagle Strike series of hypersonic anti-ship missiles, the ZTZ-201 medium tank, unmanned submarines, and loyal wingmen and other cutting-edge equipment, highlighting land, sea and air coordination and unmanned combat capabilities. Experts pointed out that this military parade is not only a demonstration of strength, but also a strategic message transmission, emphasizing China's ability to respond to conflicts and deterrence, and heralding the evolution of future battlefield forms. News highlights: since August 29, the Food and Drug Administration of the Ministry of Health and Welfare has cancelled the batch-by-batch inspection regulations for Japanese food exports to Taiwan and Fukushima and other radiation areas, and changed it to General Food Management, but still conducts sampling and radiation testing in accordance with the food safety law to ensure food safety. Since the 311 nuclear disaster, the Food and Drug Administration has gradually relaxed import controls, with a total of more than 26 batches inspected, and only a few trace amounts of radiation have been detected, and the assessment risk is negligible. Experts and international experience also show that Japan's food safety is controllable, and many countries have returned to normal management, so my country has decided to return the management of Japanese food exports to Taiwan to normalization, but continue to conduct sampling and radiation control. News highlights: TSMC Chairman Wei Zhijia said, "We will buy as much green electricity as we have," highlighting that green power has become the core competitiveness of enterprises. Although TSMC continues to increase green power purchases, Taiwan's supply is still insufficient, with renewable energy accounting for only 13.3% in 2024. The stock price of Tianneng Green Power soared 274% on the first day of listing, and Star Power launched the AI power agency platform Power Bank, which combines power generation, electricity sales, and transaction management, and has become a new focus for enterprises' green energy transformation and capital markets. News highlights: the Center for Geology and Mineral Resources of the Ministry of Economic Affairs assesses the 10 major geothermal potential areas in Taiwan, and the 5 high potential areas in the east of North Yuhua account for about 80% of the total in Taiwan, of which Lanyangzi district in Yulan has the highest potential. PetroChina has completed the drilling of 4,000 meters of deep geothermal research wells in Yuanshan, and plans to drill another one in Dongshan to grasp the geothermal resources of the Lanyang Plain and promote the construction of a 5.4 MW geothermal power plant in Dujiang. The Energy Department aims to reach 20 MW of geothermal installations by 2025 and expand to 1.2 GW by 2030, but geothermal areas such as Dayton Mountain are still affected by the National Park Law and the Indigenous Peoples consultation process, requiring cross-ministerial coordination. News highlights in 2025, wildfires in California, USA, will rage, triggering the government to pay attention to fuel management and forest health issues. President Trump has issued executive orders to promote timber production, integrate wildfire prevention, and innovative use of biomass. Congress has also promoted the Forest Restoration Act and the Wildfire Reduction and Carbon Removal Act, encouraging the use of dead wood, shrubs, and other biomass to produce biochar, reducing wildfire risks and sequestering carbon emissions, while creating economic opportunities. Biochar is regarded as an environmental solution, but it needs to be carefully managed to avoid negative effects, making it an important strategy for global efforts to combat climate change and wildfires. News highlights Honhai founder Terry Go and his wife Zheng Xinying have been married for 17 years, and their marriage is stable and sweet. The eldest daughter Niuniu is excellent at dancing, the youngest daughter QQ learns gymnastics, and the son Guo Xiaoshan plays the piano. After the meal, the family walked hand in hand on the streets, occasionally rewarding street performers. The picture was warm and natural, and the parents and children interacted intimately, showing the daily life of a happy family life. News highlights during the trial, his 6 handwritten post-it note instructions were exposed, showing that the first mayor had a conservative attitude, but the second term had a secret meeting with Shen Qingjing to break the ice, and instructed Deputy Mayor Peng Zhensheng to integrate the opinions of public service units and speed up the administrative process, so that Jinghua City obtained volume rewards with detailed plan changes, and the floor area increased by more than 12 square meters. News highlights former legislator Li Peinew recently shared beautiful photos of foreign travel, causing people to charter a flight to ask the photography team to go abroad and question her source of income. Li Peinew personally clarified that the photo was taken in Milan, the photo was €60 for an hour, the church ticket was €17, and the makeup and hair were all handled by herself, and emphasized that the photo was not an artist's specification. News highlights 70-year-old senior Zhang Horen, who became popular in the 80s with dramas such as A Generation of Singers and Legend of Pearls, and later faded out of the entertainment industry to settle in China to do business. At the birthday banquet a few days ago, he performed the stunt of qigong folding chopsticks in public, holding one chopstick on his neck and slapping the other hand to break it instantly, which frightened the actresses present to scream. Zhang Horen is still strong and well-maintained, practicing qigong, yongchun boxing, judo, taekwondo and Shaolin martial arts every day, showing his undiminished sports and martial arts skills at an advanced age. News highlights Xiaoying boy Zhang Yilin is suspected of accepting millions of bribes from listed companies such as Hengde Energy and Donggui Construction during his tenure as Deputy CEO of the Green Energy Technology Industry Promotion Center of the Ministry of Economic Affairs. Although he choked when searching, "Do you know who is behind me?" However, he roughly cooperated and expressed his willingness to hand over his mobile phone, but urgently threw the key mobile phone out the window. The mobile phone was found in the driveway on the first floor of the community, and the mirror was broken and could still be used. News highlights China will hold the largest military parade in history on September 3 to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the victory of the anti-Japanese war, attended by Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Some domestic politicians such as former President Ma Ying-jeou, former Chairman Hong Zaihu and members of the new party also plan to participate, but Li Qianlong will not go due to health reasons, emphasizing that the anti-Japanese war memorial is a common history between the two sides of the strait. Kuomintang Chairman Zhu Liluan and Mainland Affairs Council Vice Chairman Shen Yuzhong stated that the CCP's contribution to the war of resistance in history was limited, and criticized the military parade as political propaganda and contrary to the concepts of democracy and human rights. News highlights 2 Taiwanese men in their 20s disappeared while diving off the coast of Ana Village, Okinawa on August 31, and were later rescued from the undersea cave Snake Cave at a depth of about 30 meters, but were still pronounced dead. The location of the incident is quite dangerous due to the winding and poor visibility in the cave, and diving experts point out that the sand is easy to agitate, causing blurred vision, making it difficult for divers to find the exit. The victims were a 28-year-old tourist and a 24-year-old diving instructor who were diving with 3 other people at the time. The accident highlights the diving risks in the snake hole, making it difficult for unskilled divers to pass safely. News highlights in August, the auto market was disrupted by tariffs and policies, with only 29,460 units listed, a sharp decrease of 17% from July, and buying sentiment was sluggish. Toyota and Lexus have a combined market share of 40%, both winning the championship. In contrast, the motorcycle market rebounded slightly, with 66,628 units listed, and Gogoro EZZY ranked first in sales for 3 consecutive months. Although the excise tax reduction and replacement subsidy are imminent, there is still a strong wait-and-see atmosphere. Some car manufacturers have taken the lead in offering promotional plans, and the market expects it to rise to more than 3 units in September. News highlights the Ministry of Labor announced that the number of people on unpaid leave reached 4,863, a new high this year. Scholars pointed out that the decline in orders may lead to a deterioration in the unemployment rate and a contraction in domestic consumption, further causing domestic demand industries to take unpaid leave, forming a vicious circle. Experts warn that Taiwan's competition in the U.S. market is not as good as South Korea's, and it lacks FTA advantages. News highlights the catering industry is seriously short of workers, and Wangpan, Din Tai Fung and Yabin Group have offered high-paying strategies to grab talents. The starting salary of grassroots service personnel is generally higher than the market price, and the salary of store managers and chefs exceeds 200 yuan per year. Wangpan actively expands its stores and holds large-scale recruitment, with a starting salary of 4.6 yuan for store managers, which can be promoted to a monthly salary of more than 9 yuan at the earliest. Din Tai Fung has raised salaries for 5 consecutive years, with a starting salary of 5.25 yuan for outfield service staff, and Yabin has launched a 200 starting salary plan, aiming for the annual salary of all store managers and chefs to exceed 200 yuan in 2027. The battle for high salaries is changing the shape of the catering industry. News highlights heading 4,174, accumulated losses of 7.879 billion yuan, and the board of directors resolved to make up for the loss with a capital reduction of 1.315 billion yuan and a ratio of 50%, which will be implemented after the approval of the shareholders' meeting and the competent authority. As soon as the news came out, the stock price gap to 28.4 yuan today, second, and more than 4,000 sell orders were sealed. The company's previous phase 3 trial of a new breast cancer drug was suspended, and Chairman Liang Zhenji admitted that in the past, the concentration of resources led to losses, and in the future, it will turn to the development of next-generation antibody-drug conjugates, ADCs, emphasizing that it is in line with global trends and hopes for clinical results. News highlights since the early morning of Taiwan time today, second, affected by the solar M-class flare and coronal mass ejection, a moderate magnetic storm has occurred in the Earth's magnetic field, lasting for about 24 hours, during which satellite navigation and radio communication may be temporarily interrupted. Physician Zhang Jiaming pointed out that international studies have confirmed that geomagnetic disturbances can interfere with the autonomic nervous system and cardiovascular system, increasing the risk of myocardial infarction and stroke by 25% to 60%. It is particularly threatening for people with high blood pressure and arrhythmias, and common symptoms include dizziness, headache, chest tightness, palpitations, insomnia, dreams, and mood swings, which are measurable physiological responses. News highlights all primary and secondary schools in Taiwan started school yesterday, first, and many children took leave due to fever on the first day, and some even needed to rest for a week. Pediatricians pointed out that chaotic work and rest, lack of sleep, and pressure to start school during the summer vacation, coupled with intensive contact on campus, coincided with the peak of enterovirus, influenza, adenovirus, and RSV epidemics, which can easily cause the rapid spread of the virus. The doctor reminded that the antibodies to last year's influenza vaccine have gradually failed, and it is recommended to get a new dose as soon as possible. Recently, the number of infants and young children infected has increased, and common viruses include new crown and HMPV. News highlights among the 40 graduates of the first batch of Taipei Digital Real High School, nearly half were admitted to national or overseas universities, while the rest chose to study atypical subjects such as music and politics according to their interests. Established in 2022, the school is Asia's first public online high school, focusing on one course schedule for a lifetime, flipping compulsory courses and highly elective flexibility, attracting Hsinchu, Dawen and other places to follow suit. Students can arrange their schedules according to their needs and cultivate self-discipline from freedom. The graduates' achievements show that through their enthusiasm for exploration and project implementation, they not only regained their motivation to learn but also successfully passed the exam to their ideal department, demonstrating a new model of digital experimental education. News highlights the well-known stylist Li Mingchuan shared on the community that the taste of high-speed rail bento has greatly improved, making him change his mind from Taiwan Railway bento to high-speed rail bento. He recalled that in the past, he thought the high-speed rail bento was expensive, cold, and unpalatable, but recently he tried it again due to his busyness, but he was surprised by the 120 yuan chicken-flavored box meal. Although the price is slightly higher, he thinks the double main meal configuration is quite cost-effective, and said with a smile that he will have to try a few more times before deciding whether to officially break up with the Taiwan Railway bento. News highlights the SCO summit was held in Tianjin from August 31 to September 1, and Xi Jinping presided over and announced that China will promote 100 livelihood projects in member countries, providing 20 billion yuan, about $86 billion, in free aid by 2025, and adding 1,000 billion yuan, about $4,300 billion, in loan support within 3 years. This move was seen by foreign media as China's attempt to challenge the international status of the United States. However, the compulsory payment of Social Security in China has been compulsory since September 1, at a time when the unemployment rate is high and public discontent is rife. Some people also ridiculed that the amount of aid is not as good as before, indicating that China's financial pressure is heavy. News highlights Giants Taiwanese pitcher Hei-Wik Tang started at Coors Stadium, allowing 2 runs in 5.1 innings and striking out 8 to set a career high. helping the team defeat the Rockies 8-2 away to win the second win of the season and the first start of his career. He-Wik Tang struck out many times to resolve the crisis, throwing 85 pitches with the fastest ball of 152 kilometers, and the runs concentrated in the sixth inning after the change. This battle also allowed him to tie Chen Weian's single-game 8K record in 2018. The Giants had 11 hits in the game, Gilbert had 4 hits and 2 runs in a single game, and Adesms and Devers each had home runs. Rockies starter Doolan swallowed his 12th loss of the season. News highlights: Sarah, a senior flight attendant, pointed out that passengers often spend more money due to overweight luggage, paying only when they arrive at the airport, ignoring carry-on baggage regulations, purchasing unnecessary services, or mistrusting third-party booking platforms. She recommends paying online in advance, using luggage scales, familiarizing yourself with ticket rules, making good use of airline CO-branded cards and loyalty programs, and paying attention to high-class discounts. News highlights: the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit was held in Tianjin from August 31 to September 1, and Xi Jinping announced that China will promote 100 small but beautiful livelihood projects in member countries, providing 20 billion yuan, about NT $86 billion, in free aid by 2025, and adding 100 billion yuan, about NT $430 billion, in loans within 3 years. This move is seen by the outside world as China's attempt to challenge the US-led international order. However, China has forced people to pay Social Security since September 1, at a time of high economic pressure, high unemployment, and public discontent. Netizens angrily criticized the aid funds for being used in other countries rather than domestically, and some people ridiculed the aid amount for being too small, reflecting financial pressure and social contradictions. News highlights: in an exclusive interview with Finland's century-old political and economic magazine Finland Pictorial, Lin Changzuo, the representative to Finland, said that Taiwan and Finland are both small democracies that have been oppressed by neighboring countries in history, but still adhere to their own values. He hoped to promote the cultures of both sides and strengthen people-to-people friendship through his position as a representative, and emphasized that Taiwan's experience in countering information warfare can help other democratic countries deal with similar threats, demonstrating Taiwan's contribution and value in the international democratic front. News highlights: Vice Chairman Shen Yuzhong said that the notification and warning procedures have been completed, and if there are still artists who make remarks that dwarf national sovereignty or echo force after China's 93rd military parade tomorrow, 3rd, they will be dealt with on a case-by-case basis in accordance with the law. The investigation pointed out that 23 artists had forwarded posts from the CCP's official media, including content such as "Taiwan has never been a country." Some people also behaved similarly during this year's CCP military exercises. The Mainland Affairs Council emphasized that this time it is mainly a reminder rather than a punishment, but there will be no excuses for violations in the future, and they will be severely punished in accordance with the law. News highlights: former People's Party chairman Kei Wen's was investigated by the prosecution for his involvement in the Jinghua City case, and Keelung Deputy Mayor Chu Pailan testified that the number of USB donors was the amount, but Kei was unclear when talking about Xiaoshen 1500. The court will interrogate Kei Wen's on October 7. If he cannot confirm that Xiaoshen 1500 does not refer to Shen Qingjing's 1500 yuan, the 210 yuan given in the past in the name of political donations may also be recognized as a bribe. The prosecution will summon legislator Huang Shanshan to testify on October 21, and whether the case is established as a bribery crime will enter a critical trial stage. News highlights: former Kuomintang chairman Hong Zaihuzuo announced that he would send personnel to participate in the CCP's 93rd military parade to be held in Beijing tomorrow, 3rd, emphasizing that this trip is to commemorate the victory of the war of resistance against Japanese aggression, pay tribute to the heroic spirit, and inherit the historical truth and national spirit. She said that the anti-Japanese war is the common history of the whole nation, regardless of party affiliation, and attending the event is a tribute to the ancestors. However, the Mainland Affairs Council reiterated that central and local government personnel are prohibited from participating in official CCP activities, and violators will be punished according to law, and called on the Chinese people not to participate in order to jointly defend national sovereignty and dignity. News highlights: People's Party chairman Huang Qiuqing recently led the crowd to hold a day reading activity in front of the presidential residence, during which he tried to climb over the horse and enter the police formation, causing a conflict between the police and the people, resulting in 8 police officers being injured. Since the event did not obtain legal right-of-way, the Beijing prosecutor's office has named Huang Qiuqing as a defendant on suspicion of violating the assembly and parade law and obstructing official duties. In addition, Huang Qiuqing is suspected of strangling the police by the neck during the conflict, and it is reported that the Internet AI map alteration incident will also be investigated separately, reminding the outside world not to mislead public opinion with false information. News highlights: Kuomintang legislator Luo's Haiqiang criticized senior media person Huang Bihan for changing and worthy of the mission of media people in the program yesterday, first, saying that Huang had echoed and ridiculed the opposition party on the day of the recall vote, and the atmosphere at the scene was awkward. In this regard, Social Democratic Party Taipei City Councilor Miao Boya pointed out that Luo's move is a typical pua and emotional blackmail, warning that Huang Vihan may be affected by psychological manipulation, while Huang Vihan emphasized respecting the freedom of speech of guests. News highlights: the 114th school year junior high and primary schools started yesterday, first, but students and office workers ushered in good news. There are 4 consecutive holidays in September and October, including Teachers' Day, Mid-Autumn Festival, National Day, and Liberation Day. After the Executive Yuan amended the regulations on the implementation of Memorial Days and festivals, the holidays in the second half of the year were more intensive, with a 3-day holiday on Teachers' Day, a small long holiday for the Mid-Autumn Festival, National Day, and Liberation Day, and even 3 consecutive holidays throughout October. After the news was exposed, it sparked discussions. Office workers and students were excited to plan their itineraries, but the service industry and parents were worried about the pressure of work and care, and the education sector was also worried about the impact on course progress. News highlights: at the beginning of the new semester of junior college, Chengxing University became the focus of geese on campus, and the team assistant manual included goose chasing and freshmen catching geese into the response specifications, which was nicknamed anti-goose saw by students. There are about 40 to 50 geese and black swans in the school, and they usually interact with students, and occasionally there are interesting stories such as the black swan taking away the graduate's certificate. The manual stipulates that team assistants should drive away geese attacks in a way that does not harm animals, and notify the team leader and report to the group. This anti-goose strategy caused alumni to laugh and say, "There are Zhongshan monkeys in the south and ZTE geese in the middle," which has become a new tradition of campus anecdotes. News highlights: Hong Kong star Fang Lishan's wife, artist Ye Xian, bravely revealed her experience of being sexually assaulted by Providence leader Zheng Mingzi, which was exposed in a Netflix documentary. Ye Xian recently announced the publication of her Korean autobiography Traces, which completely records the process of mistakenly entering Providence Church at the age of 16 and 17, being under mental control, escaping and filing lawsuits. She hopes that through words, more people can understand the struggles of victims, warn society to identify manipulative groups, call for the issue of cults and sexual abuse, and emphasize that similar problems may exist around the world. News highlights: Hong Kong King Andy Lau debuted more than 40 years ago and is known for his humility, but he once rarely publicly changed his face because his apprentice Chen Xiaoxia jumped to TVB. Chen Xiaoxia debuted at a high starting point, cooperated with Tony Leung and Andy Lau, and then joined TVB and had a bad development. In 2016, the two reunited at a party, took an intimate photo and broke the ice. Chen Xiaoxia said, "He has always loved me," ending years of discord rumors. News highlights: the liver is known as the silent organ, and even if it is damaged, there are often no conscious symptoms. In addition to alcohol, excessive intake of sugar, fat, and refined processed foods can also increase the burden on the liver. Japanese nutritionist Kumi Sato reminded that canned fruits and juices are high in sugar, sweet bread is high in calories, and fried foods are high in fat, and long-term excessive intake can easily lead to fatty liver. It is recommended to control intake and eat a balanced diet, giving priority to fresh fruits, low-fat whole wheat bread, and steamed, grilled, and stewed dishes, paired with high-quality proteins such as fish, chicken breast, and tofu, as well as green vegetables, mushrooms, and seaweed, to help protect liver health. News highlights: a man surnamed Lai in Taichung had an extramarital affair with a married betel nut stall wife and secretly recorded videos during sex. After the breakup, Lai Nan threatened his wife and her husband with videos, and even threatened to find a criminal with a criminal record to deal with him, destroy the car with an iron rod and snatch his mobile phone, violating the protection order and continuing to harass him. In the criminal part, the first trial was sentenced to 2 years, and the second trial was changed to 1 year and 5 months. In the civil part, the Taichung High Court ruled that Lai Nan must compensate his wife 115 yuan, and the whole case was confirmed and could not be appealed. News highlights: in addition to being effective in preventing skin snakes, shingles, the latest research suggests that it may provide broader health benefits. A large study in the journal Nature pointed out that the risk of dementia in vaccinated people decreased by about 20% within 7 years. Research by the European Society of Cardiology also found that vaccination reduces the risk of heart disease and stroke by about 20%. The shingles virus may invade blood vessels and the brain, increasing the incidence of cardiovascular events, so vaccines not only prevent herpes, but may also indirectly protect heart and brain health. Experts suggest that people over 50 years old or immunocompromised should discuss vaccination with their doctor to provide an extra layer of health protection. News highlights: on August 31st, the Miss Global City World Invitational Contest and the Global City Beauty Ambassador Finals were held at the Highlight Hotel in Taipei, where 30 beauties competed fiercely, and finally Country A Beauty Ma won the 2025 Miss Global City World Championship. Taiwan was represented by Zheng Zihua's daughter Zheng Engkai and 9 other beauties. Zheng Zihua specially refused to accompany his daughter to the Macau concert, expressing his support for his daughter aiming to participate, not to win awards. Zheng Engkai revealed that she is separated from her parents, but she will return to Taiwan regularly to visit, and the father-daughter interaction is sweet, and Zheng Zhihua also shows a typical daughter control mentality. News highlights: Beijing will hold a military parade on September 3 at 9 a.m. in Tiananmen Square on September 3, the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression in the World Anti-Fascist War. The Air Flag Echelon, Foot Team, Battle Flag Team, Equipment Team, and Air Echelon will appear in order to show historical inheritance and modern military strength, and at the same time, a joint military band composed of thousands of officers and soldiers will perform classic songs of the anti-Japanese war. Since 1949, China has held a total of 19 large-scale military parades, most of which are National Day ceremonies, and have been interrupted for many years due to political factors. News highlights: A woman discovered that there were 4 consecutive holidays in September and October this year, including Teachers' Day, Mid-Autumn Festival, National Day, and Liberation Day, of which there were as many as 3 festivals in October. People happily said that almost all October is a holiday, but the catering industry called it a nightmare. In May this year, the Legislative Yuan amended the regulations on the implementation of Memorial Days and festivals to add national holidays such as Teachers' Day, Liberation Day, and Constitution Day, making the holidays in the second half of the year more intensive. News highlights: 62-year-old Kung Fu Emperor Jet Li was recently admitted to the hospital for surgery due to a benign tumor found in his neck, and his friend Chen Lan responded that it's okay if you cut it. Jet Li posted a video on Weibo yesterday to report his safety, sharing that after experiencing life and death tests such as tsunamis, falls from heights and altitude sickness, he learned to control his psychology, software, to face his body, hardware. News highlights: Japan's Fukuoka champion coffee brand Rec Coffee has been on stage since 2021 and has opened 2 stores in Taichung, which are widely loved by hand-brewed coffee lovers, but the official recently announced that it will end its agency business in Taiwan on September 30. The brand's founder, Yukazuo Uwais, has won the Japan Barista competition for 2 consecutive years, and the Taichung store is also praised for its landscape and coffee quality. The industry said that the original team will prepare a new brand at the original site, supervised by the runner-up of Taiwan's World Roasting Beans, bringing a professional and flavorful new coffee experience. News highlights: Rapidus, a Japanese semiconductor company founded only 3 years ago, has made a technological breakthrough, with the 2nm chip with a 2 HP logic density of 237.31 MTR/mm superscript 2, which is almost comparable to TSMC's 2nm 236.17 MTR/mm superscript 2, and significantly ahead of Intel's 18A process. Rapidus adopts single-wafer small batch production, targeting AI startups and cloud giants, and is expected to be mass-produced in 2027. Although facing TSMC's complete supply chain advantage, this achievement shows that the Japanese semiconductor national team has taken an important step in the localization of advanced processes, and the Japanese government has also provided huge subsidy support. News highlights: Studies have shown that drinking coffee in the morning reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease. Cardiologist Hong Huifeng pointed out that a study published in the European Journal of Heart in 2025 followed 40,725 adults for about 9 years, and found that those who drank coffee in the morning, regardless of whether they drank less than 1 cup or more than 3 cups a day, could reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease by 15% to 29%. However, coffee drinkers throughout the day did not see a significant protective effect. The study emphasizes that coffee is only correlated with cardiovascular health and cannot establish a causal relationship. News highlights: The box office of the movie Jiaotu, Overtake exceeded 140 million in 11 days after its release, setting off a Jiaotu craze in Taiwan, driving the streaming platform of old works to recover. Starring Wang Xixian and Zhang Renchuo swept the streets of Taiwan to thank voters, interacting with fans along the night market, singing golden songs, screaming continuously. Fans swiped 2 and 3 swipes to support, and the community continued to discuss it. The film's multi-line narrative and the setting of the 6 major gangs triggered brain-burning discussions among the audience, and even facilitated good deeds, repairing the Chi Grandma Pink Round Ice shop in one day, showing the culture and emotional power of the Jiaotu series. News highlights: Universal Music and Qingtian Entertainment cooperated to digitally release the classic solo albums of the Little Tigers, Wu Qilong and Su Yupeng through mastering technology, and simultaneously launched the library of classic Chinese songs from the 80s and 90s such as Zhang Yuheng and the Girls, with a total of more than 600 songs and 66 albums. This remake retains the original style of the era, while improving the sound quality, allowing old music fans to relive their youth and allowing the new generation to discover classics with high quality. News highlights: Layla, a member of the YouTube group Rebellious Boys, ended her 6-year cooperation with the team and officially returned to freedom. Previously, the team lost 300 yuan due to the incident of smuggling marijuana at home, and she gradually came out of the low ebb. Recently, Layla was photographed attending a competitive Texas Hold'em event, and her eye-catching appearance appeared in Songshan District, Taipei City, taking a group photo with the judges and well-known players. The agent emphasized that the event is entertainment and not gambling. News highlights: Huang Xiaogu, the 43-year-old former lead singer of the Strong Debate Orchestra, moved to the real estate industry, admitting that when he first entered the industry, he encountered a market downturn, and he felt inferior due to doubts and recession, but he still worked hard for his wife and children. He laughed at himself on Facebook as a real estate agent hell, and inspired himself with the reverse spirit of playing rock music in the past, and continued to work hard despite the eyes of the outside world. Netizens and friends cheered him on and encouraged him to accumulate basic skills and show off his skills in the future. News highlights: Canadian veteran actor Graham Greene died in Toronto on September 1 at the age of 73 due to a long illness. He was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for Dancing with Wolves and opened the door to Hollywood for Indigenous actors. Greene starred in many well-known movies and series during his lifetime, including Ultimate Detective 3, Green Miracle and Twilight 2, Dawn, and was deeply loved by fans, and his agent said that he had a noble character and would always miss him. News highlights: South Korean actor Lee So-hyuk held a fan meeting in Hangzhou on August 30, but because the organizer oversold thousands of tickets and the air conditioning failure was not dealt with, the original 6.5-hour event was extended to nearly 12 hours. The organizer even asked for more than 500 posters to be signed and restricted from leaving, causing dissatisfaction and protests among fans, criticizing not treating people as human beings at all, and fans demanded an apology from the organizers. News highlights: music diva Zhang Hui held her final concert at the Taipei Arena on the 1st, and the 23 performances came to a successful conclusion. The butterfly flower basket made by her friend Fei Yuking changed her outfit 4 times on the same day, showing Zhang Hui's charm with pink flowers and silver powder. A number of artist friends appeared in a low-key manner to support, including Zhou Kunling, Zhang Qingfeng, etc., and her sister Zhang Shina, who had disappeared from the fluorescent screen for 10 years, also quietly arrived. It was Zhang Hui's birthday that day, and she refused to make birthday celebration arrangements, and after the performance, she would have a good rest and plan to go abroad to relax. News highlights: in early autumn and early September, the Soha fortune column named 4 zodiac signs prosperous. Sheep nobles help each other, and usher in a number of money-making opportunities with their connections and reputation. Rat people have a keen insight into the market and seize investment and business opportunities to obtain returns. Horses face new challenges in their careers, and having the courage to try can steadily accumulate wealth. Monkeys rely on extensive connections and cooperative relationships to quickly accumulate wealth, and their overall financial luck is on the rise. News highlights: the late actress Da.S. Suzy Wan, passed away in February this year and was buried in the Jinbeisan Rose Garden, and his beloved Gu Junyi waited almost every day. Director Long Zhang recently went to pay his respects and filmed the tombstone texts "Remember Together Forever" and "Always Love You, Jun Jun" on the community, which sparked heated discussions among netizens, with some criticizing Gu Junyi for being selfish and Long Zhang for disrespecting the deceased and his family. Long Zhang then deleted the text and mosaicked the inscription, saying that he did not see Gu Junyi, but felt the traces of his companionship and wished everyone to move forward bravely. News highlights: Japan's westernmost island, Okinawa, and Nagani Island, are only 111 kilometers away from Taiwan, and recently the local area has rarely witnessed the outline of Taiwan's high mountains clearly visible at a limited time, which is spectacular and may only appear once a year. Sharing photos with the Nagani Town Tourism Association, it was pointed out that Taiwan's high mountains can be seen from Nishizaki and many places on the island, with clear layers in close proximity. News highlights: a serious car accident occurred at 10 a.m. today, 2nd, next to Tenmei Park, Section 6, Nanjing East Road, Taipei City. A cement ready-mix truck collided with a locomotive, and the female motorcycle rider surnamed Gong, 61 years old, was dragged under the car for nearly 100 meters, and was still pronounced dead after being sent to the hospital. The police said that the driver of the cement truck surnamed Huang, 47 years old, was found not to be drunk driving and has been investigated for manslaughter, and the cause of the accident is still to be investigated. News highlights: Hong Kong dancer Lee Qian, AMO, was accidentally injured by a large screen dropped at the Mirror concert in 2022, and his cervical spine burst and his whole body was paralyzed. 3 years have passed since the accident, and AMO is still unable to excrete or regulate his body temperature on his own, but he continues to receive rehabilitation and new treatments, including stem cells and brain-computer interfaces. Father Li Shenglin said that even if there is only a very small progress, it is regarded as a great grace, and AMO has recently been transferred to an overseas hospital for treatment and shared the latest rehabilitation status through the community. News highlights: the Gonzai shop at 312 kilometers of Taiwan Line 3 in Zongpu Township, Qi, was sentenced by Chen Fu because of Chen Fu's sentence, "Ride a little slower, XX girl rides so fast that she wants to eat X," and became popular, attracting heavy machinery riders to make pilgrimages and take photos. But recently, the news of the death of the grandmother circulated on the internet, which attracted the attention of the writer. Grandma's daughter-in-law Dai Kaihuyan clarified that grandma is 93 years old and has been living in a nursing home for 5 years. She also called on riders not to go out of their way to visit nursing homes to avoid disturbing their grandmothers and families, if you encounter a dangerous rider, you will sprinkle water at the entrance of the store to remind you to slow down. There were 91 accidents on Taiwan Line 3 this year, resulting in 2 deaths and 89 injuries, a decrease from last year. News highlights: the Taipei District Court is trying the case of former Mayor Cai Wen's involved in Jinghua City and political donations, and is expected to conclude the debate on December 24 and announce the verdict. During the trial, Chu Pailan and other witnesses testified in court, and Cai Wen's handwritten post-it notes and cash flow data became key evidence, showing that the Cai City government illegally relaxed the floor area ratio of Jinghua City. There are also 6 handwritten directives pointing to corruption, 3 of which are instructions to former Deputy Mayor Lin Qinrong, indicating that the application for volume of Jinghua City during the first mayor's tenure was blocked. During his second term, in order to raise political funds and expand his network, after meeting with Shen Qingjing, Cai instructed the new deputy mayor Peng Zhensheng to illegally give a 20% volume reward and accept bribes. News highlights: a dual-income father shared that he earns about 11.3 yuan per month, and he and his wife share the tuition fee of 5,500 yuan for his almost 3-year-old daughter's private bilingual school, 9,100 yuan in rent, 13,500 yuan in car loan, 1,500 yuan in car insurance, 1,600 yuan in utility bills, and 4,000 yuan each for his daughter's preparation for entering the small class, with a total expense of 11 to 12 yuan, which sparked discussion among netizens. Most suggestions can start saving from car loans and eating out, such as selling a car or switching to self-cooking can greatly reduce expenses, believing that this is the key direction to control family finances. News highlights: traditional Chinese medicine physician Li Yujing reminded that excessive light healthcare can harm the body. A woman hardly eats red meat, fried foods, and sweets when she is young, and has a regular schedule, but before the age of 60, she shows old age due to insufficient protein and good fat intake, resulting in muscle mass loss, weakened immunity, and bone loss. Li Yujing suggests that a balanced intake of protein, good fats, low glycemic carbohydrates, and multicolored fruits and vegetables, combined with regular exercise, can maintain muscle strength, bone quality, and cardiovascular health, and delay aging. News highlights: some people in life have particularly good financial luck. In addition to luck, it is also related to the zodiac sign and birth time. The 4 groups of people with good fortune include: zodiac rat and child time, 2300 hours to 1 o'clock, smart and witty, positive and partial wealth, zodiac dragon and hour, 7 to 9 o'clock, strong leadership, good at seizing investment and workplace opportunities, zodiac snake and si, 9 to 11 o'clock, wise and calm, accurate financial planning, zodiac pig and pig, 2100 hours to 2300 hours, good fortune and connections, strong financial luck, stable work income, and often windfalls. News highlights: to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the victory of the anti-Japanese war, China will hold an anti-Japanese commemoration and military parade ceremony in Tiananmen Square on September 3. Former Kuomintang chairman Hong Zaihuzu arrived in Beijing on September 2 and will attend the event and pay tribute to the descendants of the anti-Japanese soldiers. She emphasized that the war of resistance against Japanese aggression was a battle of life and death for the Chinese nation, and that the cooperation between the Kuomintang and the Communist Party and the struggle of the whole people could preserve the national throne of the Republic of China, and said that as the former chairman of the Kuomintang, he had the responsibility to continue the spirit of the war of resistance, remember history, unite the nation, and defend peace and the soul of the country. News highlights: People's Party chairman Huang Qiuqing called for a judicial day reading action on August 30, protesting around the presidential residence, and clashed with the police, injuring 8 police officers. Taipei Mayor Zhang Wannan said that the police performed their duties in accordance with the law, but understood the protests of the People's Party supporters and supported the call to protect the human rights of former chairman Cai Wen's. He also pointed out that the reason for the activity involved a prohibited area, and the police rejected the application in accordance with the law. News highlights: in December last year, a man surnamed Gao secretly took 32 intimate images with a towel wrapped in his mobile phone in the public pool. Similar incidents have occurred many times in the past, and if management and prevention are not strengthened, they may still become the target of candid photography, making people feel uneasy when bathing. News highlights: a netizen shared that his mother has worked in the kitchen of a junior high school for more than 25 years and once sponsored a poor student, not only providing meals, but also helping to pay for travel expenses and secretly stuffing pocket money so that he would not be marginalized. Many years later, the student worked in Silicon Valley, USA, and returned to school to thank his mother and gave him a thick red envelope. Mom smiled and said, "I knew he would definitely come back." After the post was exposed, it touched more than 2.9 people, and netizens praised her as a noble person in the child's life. News highlights: the Legislative Yuan renamed the fraternity seat to priority seat, and expanded the applicable target to other people with actual needs. Recently, a netizen shared that when his 65-year-old father took the MRT and sat in the priority seat, he was angrily scolded by an old man. "What kind of fraternity seat do young people have good hands and feet?" After the father showed his ID card, the old man was embarrassed and speechless, and he could only leave angrily. The post sparked discussion, with netizens laughing and calling it a pleasant misunderstanding and praising his father for his wisdom in dealing with embarrassing situations. News highlights: since October last year, the Huakao section of National Highway No. 1 has installed AI technology to ban not wearing seat belts, and even rear seat passengers are also within the scope of monitoring, with 5,060 reports in the past 10 months, accounting for nearly one-third of the number of bans in the same period. The police said that the ticket was only issued after being manually confirmed. According to Article 31 of the newly amended Road Traffic Management Penalty Regulations, drivers of small cars and those who do not wear seat belts in the front and rear seats can be fined up to 6,000 yuan. If the driver of a commercial bus or taxi has informed the passenger that it is still not tied, the passenger will also be punished. News highlights: HTC 2498's first AI glasses designed and manufactured in Taiwan, Vive Eagle, went on sale on September 1, supporting traditional Chinese voice control and open AI architecture, and can connect to large language models such as Google Gemini and OpenAI GPT, weighing less than 50 grams. As a smart wearable device, AI glasses focus on real-time visual interaction and are used in scenarios such as medical surgical assistance and logistics management, with operation methods covering touch, voice, and gesture recognition. In the global market, brands such as Meta, Google, and Xiaomi are also actively investing, indicating that AI glasses have emerging development potential beyond smartphones. News highlights: recently, gold prices have continued to soar, with international gold prices exceeding $3,500 per ounce, mainly driven by geopolitical risks, expectations of U.S. interest rate cuts, and safe haven demand. Investors can participate in the market through the Silver Building Gold Recovery Gold, Bank Gold Passbook or mass sales of gold bars. Gold prices are affected by inflation rates, the U.S. dollar index, 10-year U.S. Treasury yields, and supply and demand, and historical stock market declines have also pushed up gold prices. The National Taxation Bureau reminds that gold trading is not tax-free, and physical gold, gold passbooks, and gold funds have different taxation regulations, and the public should declare them based on actual income to avoid the risk of tax evasion. News highlights: a total of 16,663 buildings were sold and transferred in August, down 11% from the previous month and 32% from the same period last year, of which only 1,704 were sold in Taipei City, a new low for the same period, and Nangang District fell to 64 buildings. Experts pointed out that U.S. reciprocal tariffs, high housing prices and bank loan restrictions have cooled the housing market in Beijing, although Nangang has construction benefits, high prices and financial uncertainty have inhibited buying. Taichung and Tainan have stabilized slightly due to price reductions, but the overall market is still affected by tariffs and loan difficulties, and home buyers need to carefully evaluate finances and location to avoid negative equity risks. News highlights: the Financial Supervisory Commission also convened 8 major government and stock banks to support first-time buyers and owner-occupiers, and prohibit mortgage tying to prevent banks from refusing loans or delaying allocations due to independent risk control. However, experts pointed out that the actual decision-making power lies with the Ministry of Finance and the head of the bank, and the Financial Supervisory Commission is only a response action, indicating that the government has not truly fully relaxed mortgages, and the public should not have too high expectations for the recovery of the housing market. News highlights: doctors remind that many people are accustomed to drinking hot coffee from paper cups, but the plastic coating on the inner layer of paper cups will release microplastics when heated, which may cause hormonal imbalances, increase the risk of obesity, acne, diabetes, and some cancers, and also disrupt the intestinal flora and cause chronic inflammation. Studies have shown that soaking in hot water at 85 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes can release tens of thousands to hundreds of millions of microplastics in paper cups. Experts recommend using as few paper cups as possible and choosing eco-friendly or reusable cups to protect health and reduce plastic pollution. News highlights: Huang Xian, a thoracic and critical care specialist, pointed out that HEPA air purifiers are significantly helpful for people with high blood pressure and can effectively reduce systolic blood pressure. Studies have shown that living next to a road with heavy traffic, fine particulate matter, PM2.5, ultra-fine particulate matter, in the air will enter the lungs and stimulate inflammation through blood circulation, disrupt vascular endothelial function, and cause sympathetic hyperactivity, which will quietly push high blood pressure in the long run. Air purifiers filter these pollutants, reducing the burden on blood vessels and are an effective aid in controlling blood pressure. News highlights: the stock price of Cambrian, a Chinese AI chip design company, soared in August 2025, once surpassing Quaichao Mutai to become the king of A-share stocks, and the market is hotly discussing loving coarse and disgusting wine. Although it has lost money over the past few years, Cambrian's revenue in the first half of this year increased by 4,348% year-on-year, and its net profit was 10.4 billion yuan. The founders are the junior class brothers of the University of Science and Technology of China, specializing in chips and AI algorithms, with products covering AI mobile phones, smart glasses and cloud computing, and the CUN 590 chip will be launched in 2024 to support mainstream large models in mainland China. Favorable policies and market expectations have driven stock prices to soar, reflecting investors' high optimism about domestic AI technology and future potential. News highlights: in the TSMC-2NM leak case, the Supreme People's Prosecutor's Office prosecuted 3 engineers, Chen Liming, Wu Bingjun, and Ji Yiping, for violating the national security law and stealing trade secrets, and the Intellectual Property Court ruled that they should be detained for 3 months. The 3 admitted to cooperating with the leak, saying that because Chen Nan said that his child was sick and needed money, he did not accept any benefits. The court held that the case was serious, and the 3 had deleted the conversation record after the incident, which was likely to collude and destroy evidence. The prosecution's investigation also does not rule out that Chen Nan's Tokyo Power Science and Technology Innovation Japan headquarters are involved in the case, and will be investigated separately. News highlights: an Boeing 787-9 passenger plane taking off from Haneda Airport and preparing to fly to Paris, at about 8:57 a.m. Taiwan time today, 2nd, due to an engine abnormality, urgently turned back to the original airport. Fortunately, the emergency has been eliminated, and a total of 205 passengers and crew members on board are safe. There are even videos circulating on the internet, but it is impossible to confirm the authenticity. News highlights: a liberal arts graduate from National Taiwan University shared that after a few months of working in related jobs after graduation, he left his job because his salary was not proportional to his workload. He currently works as a night shift administrator, can follow dramas and blow air conditioning, and is called Chuangke. However, netizens reminded that the security guards' working hours and hourly wages may not be high, and the workload varies from case to case, which has sparked discussion. News highlights: numerologist Wang Kunchen pointed out that wallets symbolize treasury, and usage habits, color, and cleanliness will affect financial luck. He specifically reminded that there are 5 types of items that should be avoided in the wallet: photos of deceased relatives or pets, sharp objects, such as keys, invoices, and bills, other people's business cards, and expired or damaged amulets to avoid financial outflow or leakage. News highlights: Yang Yao, a 4-time champion legislator of the Democratic Progressive Party, announced his retirement on the 15th, saying that due to long-term sleep disorders and anxiety about the stagnation of Penghu construction, he will not run for any public office after his term expires. He has served as the only Central People's representative in Penghu since 2012 and has been committed to promoting local construction despite physical discomfort for many years. Yang Yao revealed that he decided to retire as early as 2022 and reported his health to the party's Central Committee in July this year. News highlights: NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang recently visited TSMC in Taiwan, and there are rumors that he is putting pressure on Trump to share TSMC's profits with the US government. TSMC clarified today, 2nd, that Huang Rongsun was only invited to give a speech in Taiwan, and the communication channels with the US government were open, and the rumors were inconsistent with the facts. He shared his business philosophy in Hsinchu, thanked the team for completing the trial production of chips, and went to Taipei to participate in Zhang Zongmu's birthday celebration and dinner before leaving Taiwan. News highlights: Xiang Tai Chen-lan recently shared the way of marriage on the show, emphasizing that the trust between husband and wife needs to be cultivated for a long time, and she never checks her husband Xiang Huaqiang's mobile phone. She revealed that she had secretly picked her palm to show favor when she shook hands with Xiang Huaqiang, which made her angry on the spot and ordered the actress to be banned. Talking about how to get along, Chen Lan admitted that she had been running in for at least 10 years in the early days of marriage, and she was often questioned by her husband about talking on the phone for too long, but the explanation was all business dealings. She even bluntly said that Andy Lau, Jet Li, and others would confide in her because they trusted her confidentiality and advice, showing their straightforwardness and pride. News highlights: with the rise of live broadcast culture, live broadcast selling houses has become a new trend in the housing market, but controversies are frequent. Real estate queen Zhang Chunchun accused Zhang Jinggrui, the king of live real estate agents, of exaggerating sales, causing her to spend 2,380 yuan to buy objects with property rights defects and no room for value added, so she filed a lawsuit. Similar incidents also include artist Jiang Jiang's father, Lin Mishu, who was defrauded by a fraud group when he sold his house in 2018, involving more than 100 million yuan. Artist Yang Jinhua accused the builder of distorting the advertisement because the view of the Niahu mansion was blocked, and finally lost the lawsuit. Many cases show high risk of buying a house, reminding consumers to be cautious in verifying. News highlights: 46-year-old actress Chen Qion is known for her good maintenance, and recently shared on the community that her latest weight is only 47.42 kilograms, which is only 1 kilogram away from her state 10 years ago. She revealed that she has developed the habit of drinking and exercising, and usually chooses prototype foods, with chicken breast, apples and scallions and eggs for breakfast, and occasionally indulges in sweetness. She lamented that she was able to eat without worries when she performed The Price of the Winning Girl, but now she needs to be more self-disciplined, but she also shows perseverance and determination to maintain her posture. News highlights: the popularity of the Korean girl group, G.I.D.L.E. continued to rise after the contract renewal of all members last year, and member Xu Hua is also actively expanding his personal career. Last month, she returned to her hometown of Daxi Old Street in Dawen to shoot an advertisement, wearing a French top with a white skirt and riding boots, focusing on her work under the scorching sun and smiling, attracting a large number of onlookers. It is reported that this shooting is the endorsement of Dawen tourism, and as the Dawen daughter, she is the most representative. After the contract renewal, Xu Hua has more autonomy in his work choices, and in addition to endorsing sports brands, he also participates in variety shows Go Out and Appraiser, showing diversified development potential. News highlights Taiwan's dialysis population ranks among the top in the world, mainly due to diabetic nephropathy. Tan Dunsai suggested that Chinese people can drink more water, avoid a diet high in oil, salt, and sugar, and eat onions containing quercetin and sulfide in moderation to resist oxidation, protect the kidneys and assist in blood sugar control. Nutritionist Gao Minmin also pointed out that onions are rich in isoalliin and dietary fiber, which can help with antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, slow down allergies and promote intestinal health. News highlights the Central Meteorological Administration predicts that Typhoon number 18 Pipa may form this week, but its path will have little impact on Taiwan. The Japan Meteorological Agency pointed out that the tropical disturbance 95W off the eastern coast of the Philippines will develop into a tropical depression as soon as the morning of September 3rd and is expected to move towards the southern part of Okinawa. Meteorological expert Lindeen said that 95W still has the potential to strengthen in high-temperature seas and low wind shear conditions, but it will move north to Japan along the edge of the Pacific high pressure and has no direct impact on Taiwan. News highlights People's Party Chairman Huang Qiuqing broke the news on the 2nd that the Sun Yat-sen Academy of Sciences obtains a budget of nearly 100 billion yuan from the Ministry of National Defense every year, but because it adopts a foundation model, procurement is not regulated by the government procurement law, and internal control is loose, becoming a hotbed of corruption. He pointed out that it is not a single incident that may involve a whole series of military procurement fraud cases behind it, questioning whether the Ministry of National Defense knew or connived at it. News highlights Taishui will carry out the Bird's Beak Lake Pipeline reconnection project from the early morning of September 3rd to the afternoon of September 4th, and some areas of Zhonghua City and Himei Town will be without water for 37 to 39 hours, and some areas will use decompression water supply, affecting more than 81,000 households. Taishui has planned 46 water filling stations and 5 water trucks, and added fire hydrant supplies to ensure life and public safety. Due to the long water outage, some catering and hairdressing businesses have suspended business, and the sports center has also closed shower facilities. Taishui calls on the public to store water in advance and pay attention to the water usage conditions of businesses and public places. News highlights internet celebrity Huang Xian has 27.6 subscribers, but he admitted to cheating in the community, and even interacted with female viewers and watched the other party's pornographic live broadcast, which caused criticism from the outside world. He said that his girlfriend has always supported him, not only introducing his business partner, accompanying him abroad, but also taking care of his daily life, but he betrayed his feelings and caused psychological and life damage to the other party in his words. Huang Xian admitted that his behavior was worse than being by a dog and was willing to take responsibility and accept criticism from public opinion. Many netizens expressed their dissatisfaction with his behavior, bluntly saying that his girlfriend deserves a better partner. News highlights after 10 years of hard study, 67-year-old Ms. Tang passed the local special examination for the third-class land administration grade in 2024, setting a record for the oldest admission in Zhu City. She began to contact land administration courses at the age of 51, but she completed the application requirements with enthusiasm and perseverance in non-related departments, and finally realized her dream. During practical training, she served the public with a friendly smile and showed enthusiasm and professionalism. Although he cannot be appointed due to legal restrictions, his spirit is inspiring. Acting Mayor Chiu Chenyuan said that she proves that age is not an obstacle to dreams, and that its spirit of challenge is the best example of lifelong learning, bringing profound inspiration and positive energy. News highlights the stock price of Taiwan Glass, 1,802, caused panic in the market because Dong Niangsu Liling declared the sale of 400 shares. Taiwan Glass previously soared to 40.1 yuan due to the shortage of AI and glass fiber fabrics, but after the declaration on August 19, the stock price plummeted for several days, and the market value evaporated by 365 billion yuan in 10 trading days, a drop of 28%, and the market value fell below 100 billion yuan. Although Su only expected to cash out about 1,400 yuan, the Dongniang stock selling curse came true again, causing more than 4,000 shareholders to appear, and investors lost nearly 10,000 yuan each. News highlights Taiwan and the United States continue to negotiate tariff parity. Taiwan strives to reduce the temporary tariff rate by 20%, and the market expects tariffs on imported cars from the United States to be lowered, leading to a wait-and-see buy. Mercedes 2526 models are equipped with upgrades and price reductions, with GLB models dropping by up to 13 yuan. Tesla provides discounts and insurance subsidies of up to 10 yuan for Model 3 and Model Y Spot, the designated model of the domestic Nazija N7 offers a discount of 16 yuan in a travel kit. With the zero tariff policy approaching, Taiwan's auto market has fallen into a fierce price war in advance. News highlights a woman has been pursuing an extremely light diet for a long time, almost no red meat, fried foods, and sweets. Traditional Chinese medicine physician Li Yujing pointed out that long-term insufficient protein and good fat intake can lead to muscle loss, weakened immunity, osteoporosis, and skin aging. She reminded that after the age of 50, muscle is naturally lost by 1 to 2% every year, and if nutrition is insufficient and lack of exercise, it will deteriorate faster. It is recommended to consume a balanced intake of protein, good fats, whole grains, fruits, and vegetables, and exercise regularly to maintain healthy aging. News highlights the latest research points out that frequent nightmares not only affect sleep quality but may also indicate health concerns. Imperial College London analyzed data from 18 people and found that the risk of early death of weekly nightmares increases by 3 times, and is even more accurate predictor of aging than smoking and obesity. Another study shows that if middle-aged and elderly people have frequent nightmares, the risk of dementia increases significantly, especially in men. Some specific dreams, such as drowning, being chased, or localized pain, may indicate apnea, cardiovascular or organ disease. Experts remind that improving nightmares not only aids sleep, but may also delay dementia, which is an important warning sign of brain health.